Hello, my good fellow Americans. It's Jerry Bear here. Another edition of the Daily Rant. Thanks for dropping by. In today's Daily Rant, I want to talk about this election. And for those of you who personally know me, you know that I never go on record talking about politicians or discussing politics with anybody because I'm not political. I don't follow politics closely. I don't watch CNN, I don't watch CNBC, I don't watch MSNBC, I don't watch any of these, cable news channels where they talk about Trump and Biden or whoever's running for office. I'm aware of who the president is. I know who the opponents are, but I don't follow it closely enough to really know what's going on. But this is going to be something new for me. This is going to be, brand new ground to cover for me because I never really talk publicly about politics. Now, I haven't voted in 16 years. Okay? I haven't voted in 16 years. The last time I voted, I think we were voting for a governor of the state of Michigan. I think it was Jennifer Granholm back then. It was in 2004. I had just turned 18 that year. And my neighbor was encouraging me, you got to get to the voting booth. You got to get to the voting booth because your voice matters. Your voice counts. You got to do this. You got to do that. So I said, okay, she's not going to let me off the hook on this one. Never voted in my life, but I'm going to go down there and check it out. The town hall is like a couple miles from where I live, by the way, so it's not like it's an hour away. It's not an incredible leap to make it to the voting booth because I live, just like I said, a couple miles away. So I said, okay, she's not going to let me live this down. So I think I had ridden with her over to the township hall where the voting booth is, where the polls are. And I remember the ballot was like really fucking long. It's like, what am I supposed to do? Who do I vote for? What am I supposed to do? I don't understand what it is I'm supposed to do because I'd never voted before. And, this was way before a coronavirus or this pandemic, way before. And I didn't know what to do, And she says, well, you just got to pick who you would want to be the governor or who you would want to be the president or who you would want to be, running the country. And it's like, well, what, I don't know who to fucking vote for. I don't know who to pick. So I just started filling in bubbles. It's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm voting for. I'm not educated enough on these people to know enough about them as to whether or not I should vote for them. And it's like, wow. When I completed the ballot, I submitted it. I put it in that little machine where it counts the ballots or whatever. And I told my dad and I told myself, I'm never fucking doing that again because I don't know what the fuck I just got myself into. I don't know enough about them to be voting for them, and I'm never doing it again. I think I just totally, I sold my soul to the fucking political system, and I don't want to do that. So I haven't been back to the voting booth in 16 years. Now, we have this election coming up on Tuesday, which is November 3rd. It's election day. We've got current President Donald Trump, Republican, and Joe Biden, Democrat. This is a very hairy election because now we are in the middle of a pandemic. We are in the middle of a worldwide crisis with the coronavirus, and the world has seemingly gone mad, as far as I could tell, or at least when you're watching television news, all you hear is the bad news. So I'm not sure if I'm going to even be voting in this election. And I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, but, well, I can't make a decision. I don't know. I know that Trump is a narcissist, and he's proven that. Joe Biden, I mean, he's just creepy in his own way. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know who to vote for. I don't know who would be the more, viable candidate to run the country. And about that, I mean, I understand that your vote is going to determine the future of our democracy, and I understand that. But listen, I don't feel so comfortable making decisions that will affect other people. They always say, well, you go with the candidate that represents your thoughts or your ideas or your perceptions about how things should be. Okay, but I don't have an opinion either way, so what the fuck do I do at this point? All I can say is that it's never going to get better. It doesn't matter who you vote for. This is never going to get better. The world is in shambles, and it's only getting worse progressively over time. I don't believe that politics is going to fix that. I don't believe there's one specific candidate who's going to get in there and take over and change, and lead the world into a better direction. I don't believe that. I don't foresee this happening, like, ever in the history of our time. I don't see it happening. Now, everybody got excited when Obama was president because he was the very first black president. So we set history. We made history by getting the very first black president into the Oval Office. Okay, cool. Really cool. And I was alive, and I remember that history being made. But now, I mean, it's I've gotten to the point where, it's like, I don't know who to pick. I don't know, because the reality of politics is that when you put the burden on one person because you think that one person's going to solve all your problems for you, they're going to wave this magic fucking wand and they're going to fix your problems, they're going to eliminate your debt, they're going to find a good college for you to go to, for your children to attend. They're going to fix all your problems. They're going to take away all your worry, all your frustration. That is a load of bullshit. I don't buy into that. I don't buy into the premises that the system is founded upon. I just don't buy into it. You're talking about putting the burden onto one person. You put them on a pedestal, and the very minute they can't fulfill your dreams or your wishes, you want to burn them at the stake, and I think it's wrong. And besides that, I hear people tell me all the time, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain, but to me it seems a bit illogical, because if you are the one going to the voting booth and you're electing these people, and they get into office and they fuck everything up worse than what it already is to begin with, well, that kind of falls back on you, because you're the one who voted for that person. Now, if I don't vote at all, I can complain about the mess you created that I had nothing to do with. So, that's why I haven't been to the voting booth in the past 16 years. It all seems a bit crazy to me, And they say, well, people, they throw this wrench into the argument. Well, people they fight and die for your right to vote. Well, people fight and die for better reasons than just showing up at a voting booth. I can guarantee you. Okay? I guarantee it. And I'm not saying that, I don't take their death for granted. I don't take for granted the fact that people are fighting for this country. I'm not taking that for granted at all. But what I'm saying is that it's not reason enough for me to go and pick and choose who I want to tell everybody else how to run their lives or how to live their lives. It shouldn't be up to me. And just saying that doesn't convince me enough to go to the voting booth and say, I think this guy should be telling us how to live our lives. It's fucking ridiculous. I just don't want to be that guy. I don't want that on my conscience. And then I hear this. Well, not voting is also a vote. Okay. And what if I actually want for people, as long as they're not harming anybody else, what if I actually just vote for people to do what the fuck they want to do, as long as it's within reason, they're not hurting anybody else, and if they're not breaking a law, then do what the fuck you want to do. For years, okay, for many, many, many years, the gays have been, they've been pushing for gay marriage for years, and the Supreme Court had finally ruled that, members of the LGBTQ plus community can fucking get married, which I thought was awesome. A lot of people were disgusted by that because blah, 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 blah. The traditional ways of marriage is between man and woman, not woman and woman or man and man or whatever. You know what? It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect anybody. Two grown people who are in love with each other should be able to fucking marry each other. Period. And admittedly, there was a time when I was homophobic. This was long before, I actually had given it thought. There was the EU factor involved, and it's like, it's disgusting as fuck. I don't believe in that. But when I got older and I started to listen to people speak from that particular demographic of people, gays and lesbians, it's like, well, after having given it thought and listening to these people, it really doesn't affect me either way. If those people really and truly love each other, then why can't they be married to each other? What's the big deal? What does that have to do with me or anybody else? So, I guess you could say in that regard, I'm not homophobic anymore, happy to say. I support gay marriage, I support gay rights, I support the LGBTQ plus community. You guys, you should be able to live your life in any way you see fit. You're not hurting anybody else, and your marriage has no effect on me whatsoever. And it's not just because I'm single. Even if I were married, or even if I did have a partner, it wouldn't affect me. You being a woman marrying your partner, a woman, or if you're a man who marries your boyfriend or whatever, that doesn't affect me. Congratulations. I'm all for it. I stand up and I applaud it. Good for you. I'm happy for you, and I wish the best of luck with the marriage, with the relationship. I support it. When I was homophobic, it was because I didn't have a firm understanding of what being gay was, or being a lesbian was, or being, like, I'm into women, I'm straight. So I didn't understand all of the other possibilities that you could either be, you could be a man who likes men, you could be a woman who likes women, you could be a trans, you can be asexual, you could be pansexual, you could be any way you want to be and still be a human being at the end of the day. I didn't understand that before, but now I do. Now I get it. I've matured since then. And to say that I'm ashamed of my old thoughts or my old ways of thinking, no, because I wasn't taught any differently. I didn't know any better at the time, but now I do. If grown people, two people who are grown enough and they are old enough to consent to whatever they want to do behind closed doors, more power to you. I support whatever decision you make, okay? But I'm into women. I'm straight. I love women. And that's it. But so anyway, I'm droning on about the gay marriage thing. But the Supreme Court had finally ruled in favor of gay marriage, which I thought was a huge milestone. Okay. But back to the election. I mean, we lost Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a hell of a woman, fantastic lady. She had cancer, and she had been fighting for many years. She fought and survived several times before she passed away. So, I understand how voting for particular individuals, it's gonna have a lifelong effect, or it's gonna have a lasting effect on policy, and it's going to have an effect on the democracy of our country, how we live our life in this country as Americans. I understand how voting for particular people, I understand how that would make people think, well, you know what, if only we vote for this guy or this person, then the world's going to be a better place. I understand that, but at the same time, I don't. I don't understand where you get this idea that because and I say that, I used to understand it. I used to think that way. When I turned 18, it's like, well, I was naive, and I used to think, well, okay, I'll vote for that. I don't know much about these guys, but I'm just going to vote for them because I heard their name on television. I heard their name get mentioned a lot, so I must be voting for the right person by filling in that bubble. I wasn't educated or well informed on who I was voting for, but my neighbor insisted that I go to the voting booth and cast a ballot. But now that I've grown up since 2004. I mean, it's been 16 years. I watched this shit going on with Trump and Biden, and neither one of them seem like viable candidates. And I don't know if anybody else is if you're voting, that's your prerogative. If you don't vote, that's also your prerogative. I don't think I'm going to vote this year. or should I say, I don't think I'm going to vote in this particular election. I think I'm going to sit this one out. Because of the fact that I don't have enough faith in politics to think that this is all going to change just by submitting a piece of paper. I just don't think that it's that simple. We got a lot of work to do. And we may never get the work done. We may never get the job done. Because this country is so far fucking gone that it's like there's no turning back. So, I mean, if you want to vote for Trump, vote for Trump. If you vote for Biden. I mean, I used to think that, I only voted one, okay, because the one time that I voted, which was in 2004, as I pointed out, at that time I knew you could cross vote. Like, you could vote Republican here and vote Democrat here, and you could jump back and forth. I used to think that you could only vote straight Democrat or straight Republican. As it turns out, I had recently seen a sample ballot at the town hall, same place. You can actually still cross vote. You can vote Republican here, you can vote Democrat there, or you can vote a straight Democratic ticket, or you can vote a straight Republican ticket. See, I didn't know that because I hadn't voted in so long, so I stand corrected on the claims that I had made prior to this recording that you can't cross vote anymore. Yes, you certainly can cross vote. That's still an option. That's still available. So I do stand corrected on that. But this idea that one person is going to somehow take control and lead this country into a better direction, I just don't buy into it. I just don't believe that politics is the way. I don't believe that, okay, well, he promises this and he promises that, and he's gonna do this for us. If only we vote for him, he's gonna do this for us, and he's gonna do that for. And somehow this world is going to be so much better. I mean, there were talks about another, $1,200 stimulus check coming. I don't know how true it is, but I don't believe in this idea that if only we vote for this particular candidate, then the world's going to be a better place. It's fucking hype. That's all it is. It's political hype. It's propaganda. There are no candidates who are truthful. They all fucking lie. They don't have credibility. They don't know what credibility is. No, but I mean, you got to really be a crooked motherfucker to want to run this country. That's my take on that. I don't support flawed systems that don't support everybody. If we had a system that actually gave a fuck about everybody and didn't leave people in the dust all the time, then there might be a chance that I would say, you know what, I'll vote for this person because finally we're seeing some changes. Finally something's happening. Everybody's going to be helped. There's not going to be any homeless people in the streets. There's not going to be anyone starving. There's not going to be anyone sleeping in shopping carts. And let me tell you, I've seen that myself, driving through the city, going on my joyride. I've seen people, raggedy clothes, shopping carts, milk crates. It's sad, and I felt really extremely bad for those people. Really bad. But that's the world now. Maybe it's always been the world. I don't know. But I think it's gotten worse since, whenever it started to really become an issue. It's only gotten progressively worse. And that's evidence that politics doesn't really change that. The fact that people are still, there's going to be crime no matter what you do. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, there's always going to be crime. There's always going to be the need for police. There's always going to be the need for law enforcement, fire department, things like that. You're going to have crime no matter where you go. The government's not going to clean that up. We can't rid the world of fucking crime, much in the same way that we can't rid the world of germs and the coronavirus. We don't live in that kind of a world. Germs are everywhere. Crime is everywhere. Crime is a fucking germ. Okay? It's a germ on society. You're never going to truly live in a world where you're free of germs or crime. You're going to have both. You're going to have disease. You're going to have destruction. You're going to have poverty. You're going to have homelessness and hunger and natural disasters. You're going to have all of these things in a world where government and politics is not going to do a fucking thing to change it. We can't, we talk about climate change, which studies have shown, science shows, that human beings have a distinct effect on climate change, and we do. The evidence doesn't lie. That's scientific evidence. And yeah, maybe we need to start changing our ways of living in life so that way we can make the earth, we can save the planet. I mean, I listened to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I got to tell you, for being he's a famed astrophysicist, really smart guy, intelligent guy. I love listening to him. I love watching Cosmos. I watch clips of him on YouTube, and I listen to his ideas and his opinions, and it's like, that makes perfect sense to me. So maybe, we can help make this world a better place, but we can't have it all in one swipe. Like, what I'm saying is we can't cast a ballot and say, shoop, gone, no more crime, no more poverty, no more germs, no more this, no more that. It doesn't happen overnight. In fact, I don't think it will ever happen. Not totally, not completely. Because human beings, mankind, keeps backpedaling. And I think that putting faith in politics and expecting politicians and these political leaders and political figures to clean up your problems is bullshit. We created these problems on our own. We have to be the ones to clean this shit up. We have to be the ones to clean up this act. There's no one person who's going to make this go away, magically disappear. Now, when we're talking about objective truth, like, I mentioned Neil deGrasse Tyson, for some reason science has become an enemy to people who don't like logic, they don't like critical thinking, they don't like facts. Okay? I live in a country that is horribly uneducated on scientific facts, logic, critical thinking, rationality. I live in that country. Now, when you have uneducated people voting for particular individuals who also feel the same way as their voters, and then they get into office, they get into power, and then they want to denounce science. Well, we don't blame the leader or the politician. We blame the fucking public. We blame the people who put them in power in the first place. As Neil deGrasse Tyson said, I don't shout and shake my fist at the leaders of this country. I turn around to the crowd and I ask you, what are you doing? Do you really and truly know the facts of what you believe or what you think is right? Do you actually know this to be true? And really, I couldn't agree more. It sounds more rational, more logical to me. But to think that politics is going to solve the problems of the world, I find that to be really fucking just way out there. because there's always going to be problems in the world. There's always going to be issues in life. That's life. Everybody wants such a perfect world. Everybody wants shiny things and dollar bills and you know, they always want someone else to do something for them. They always want to they want to take the path of least resistance, like electricity, you know. They want to do what's easy. They want to take the shortcuts. They don't want to take the long way around. Well, the long way around is how we all got to the point where we are now. Because the earliest pioneers of this country, the earliest, you know, settlers of this country, they had no choice but to take the long way around. That's where the life story begins. I'm not saying that, you know, the only answer to solving the world's problems is a revolution. That may be the case, it may not be the case. I'm not betting money on any of it. I'm not placing my chips anywhere on that because, you know, I don't want to be, I want to make sure that what I'm saying is helpful, or at least at best accurate. I don't want to say that, oh yeah, this world needs a revolution, or no, we don't need a revolution. I'm not gonna talk about that. I'm neither here nor there on that particular subject or that topic. But what I can say is that I don't believe that politics is going to save the day. I don't believe that politics is going to solve the problems of the world. Because the problems in the world start with us. We all had a choice. We all make choices every day. We wake up and we make a choice and we say, you know what, we could either have a good day, we can have a bad day, we can have a productive day, we can assign value to our life. We can give our lives any value that we want to give it on our own. It's up to us to assign value to our lives. I'm not someone who's going to leave it up to a higher power or the government. I'm not one of those people. I don't believe in that. I think that we all have control over our own destiny, that we all have a story to tell and a life to live. We're authors of our own stories. We have to be writing good chapters, and we have to be, if we make mistakes, we learn from those mistakes and we say, you know what, I fucked up. I don't have an ego that gets in my way, where that prevents me from admitting that I made a mistake. I fucked up a lot in my life. And I don't have this massive ego that tells me, well, you can't admit to your wrongdoing, because then that would make you appear as, oh, well, you know what, you're teachable. You still have to be taught something. Well, what's wrong with being taught things? What's wrong with being a student? What's wrong with being a person who is vulnerable to learn something new? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with not knowing everything? There's nothing wrong with not knowing everything. Sometimes I don't know is the most accurate answer you can fucking give. Why does that answer scare people so much? It's daunting to me how people are. They're afraid of things they don't know, so then they want to fill in the blank with some crazy superstition. And that's not how we go about determining what's true and what's not. I want to be as straight on and as accurate and as truthful with people as I most possibly can, but expect mistakes along the way. That's what I'm saying. I'm not perfect, and neither are you. The people who are listening to this, you're not perfect either. The mistake that I made was thinking that people were better and they knew how to behave. Even if they did make mistakes, you know what? I fucked up, I made a mistake. Let me correct that. Let me make up for that. That's what I tried to do. That's why I emailed people a lot in the childhood cancer world, because it's like, well, if I made a mistake, let me correct it. Please tell me what I did wrong so I can try to fix it. so I can correct the mistake. I always want to be fixing problems. If I don't know what I did, I can't fix it. I'm not a mind reader. And then they, put it on me as if, well, you know what you did, you just don't want to admit it. No, that's not the case at all. I will admit that there's an issue because you are treating me like I'm shit. I have to know what that is so I can fix it. And if you're not willing to give me that opportunity, then maybe the problem is with you, and maybe it's not with me. That's the only conclusion I can come up with. Because if the problem was with me, we would actually sit down and we would have a discussion. We would actually talk about things and not just make assumptions about shit that we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. That's not how I choose to operate. That's not how I roll. I would much rather go by evidence and go by what we are able to demonstrate to be the case. What we know on an objective, truthful level. I don't care what you feel. I want to know what's true. And see, that's something else about science and trying to introduce objective truth into policy in this country. The best thing about science, it doesn't care what you think. It doesn't care what you feel. These are the fucking facts, whether you like it or not. Get over it. That's what it is. And mind you, and something else that I just love about science is that people don't change science. Science changes science. Science corrects itself all the time. And then when science corrects itself, then human beings, when we gather this information, we get a better understanding of what's really going on in the world, and our knowledge about things expands. Human beings don't correct science. Science corrects science. And that's what I love about science. Doesn't matter what you think, doesn't matter what you feel. This is what we have found to be true. This is the best model that we can come up with that would best fit the explanation of what's happening in our universe, what's happening in our world. And that's what I love about science. It doesn't give absolute truth about anything. This is what's true about this particular subject. This is what we find to be true. And that's what I love about science. But when you try to introduce that into American policy, that becomes a problem because you have the religious people who are, they're shaking their fists. They're talking about, well, I don't want my kid being told that we come from apes. Okay? They're referring to evolution, by the way. And evidence and science clearly shows that human beings share a common ancestor with the greater apes of the world. Whether you like it or not, that's what the fuck happened. That's why when you go to a museum and you look at artifacts, they present the evidence. They lay the evidence out for you. Fossils and bones, artifacts from earlier generations. That's why we have museums, to preserve history. That's why every time someone talks about, oh, we want to knock the statue down of this person because he was a slave owner or whatever the case may be because he was such a bad guy, we preserve history so history doesn't repeat itself. I mean, Jesus Christ, how is that so fucking hard to understand? How is that difficult to understand? It's no different than when you visit a museum. We preserve history so that way we can examine what we knew then and try to improve on it in today's modern world. You people don't understand that. You guys who are so hell-bent on wanting to, take these statues down of these horrible people. Well, there's a reason we preserve history. We're not celebrating ignorance. We preserve history so we don't make the same mistakes in the modern day. I don't know why that's so hard to fucking wrap your brain around. But there's people who just don't like it, and these people, like I said, they want to introduce God and Jesus in school, So they're in favor of violating the United States Constitution, which would be the separation of church and state, which means that if you want to learn about God, if you want to be taught Jesus and God, then you go to church to do that. But when you're in school, you're going to learn what's actually true. You're going to learn objective truth. You're going to learn objective facts. You're going to learn what's actually true and what we know to be the case. You learn American history. You learn science. You learn social studies. You learn math. You learn all these different subjects. If you want to learn about God and Yahweh and Allah and Jesus or whoever it is you worship, you go to fucking church for that. You leave religious teachings to the religious buildings of worship. You don't put it in the fucking school system. You don't put it in the American fucking educational system. That's not how that works. If you want to believe that the earth is only 6,000 to 10,000 years old, that's your fucking problem. Science tells us a whole different story. The earth is like 4.5 billion years old, and the universe itself is like 13.5 billion years old. I don't care what your Bible says. Science is telling us that this is what we think. This is the best explanation of what we can come up with of how all this started. The Big Bang cosmology that you hear about. The earth isn't flat, by the way. For all you flat earth people who are listening to this, we have high resolution images of the earth being a fucking oblate spheroid. That's what it's referred to. The earth is a round motherfucker. Okay? It's not flat. Now, where you may be standing or where you may be sitting or your vantage point of the area surrounding you, it's flat at the surface where you are. Yes. But the curvature of the fucking planet is a huge fucking curve. Huge. So if I stood, okay, because I live on an east-west road, okay, if, let's say, for example, my road continued on all around this fucking planet, like it was the equator, so to speak. Okay, we'll use that then. We'll go with that example then. Okay, we're at the equator. If I'm facing west and I tell you to just keep walking, you're gonna come up behind me eventually. You're gonna walk around the entire planet, and you're gonna come up behind me. I would have to turn around to face you again. That's the truth, guys. We have high resolution graphics and images of the Earth. The Himawari 8, I think, is what it's called. It's a satellite that's in orbit. It takes high resolution pictures of the fucking planet. This Earth is very fucking round. You want to think it's flat, that's your problem. The fact that when you look at the fucking moon, and when you see only half of the moon, or the moon looks like a fucking fingernail, you mean to tell me that the Earth is flat? You can see how the moon looks like a fucking fingernail. That's the sun casting Earth's shadow on the fucking moon. That's what you're looking at. When you look at the moon and you only see like half of the moon, or you see like the moon illuminated as a fingernail in the fucking sky, what you're looking at is when the sun shines, the Earth is creating the shadow on the side of the moon that you're seeing, which means that you're only seeing that part of it. That's what you're looking at, folks. The Earth isn't fucking flat. The Earth is round. The moon doesn't create its own light. The moon is illuminated by the fucking sun. I don't know. I'm not a science teacher, and I don't want to delve into this too much because I don't want to get the information inaccurate. I would encourage you to do a Google search and find this information out. But anyway, I started talking about politics, and I got sidetracked with scientific explanation. But anyway, um, if we introduced those objective facts and objective truths into American policy, we might be better off as a nation. We might do something differently. We might make improvements. But I don't want to place my bets anywhere on any politician. I know that this is a very important election coming up. And being in the middle of a pandemic, it makes it 10 times harder to make a decision. And it makes it difficult to vote in person because we have to maintain the distance of 6 feet, and we have to wear masks, and we have to follow all the protocols and guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control, which, okay, I play along. We have to look out for each other, and we have to do what's in the best interest of each other and the health and the well-being of other people. However, picking one person does not automatically mean that, okay, the earth is going to be better, or this country is going to be in such better shape now that we vote for this particular individual. I don't like to shame or cast stones at politicians or people who are in power. I want to put the blame on the electorate. The people who are showing up at the voting booth, and they're electing these people who don't know what the fuck they're doing. Trump has made fun of handicapped people. He has said and done a lot of horrible shit that no elected official, a leader of a country, should ever do or say. Now with Joe Biden, Joe Biden's had political experience being the vice president in the Obama administration. I guess I do pay attention to politics after all. But I do know that Joe Biden was the vice president in the Obama administration. So he's had experience as a vice president. But there's still some things about Joe Biden that I'm really not crazy about. He sniffs children, which I find to be really fucking creepy. He's very touchy-feely with everybody. He can't keep his hands to himself, kind of a thing. I mean, I watched the debate between Trump and Biden, and Chris Matthews from Fox News was the moderator of that debate, and it was a fucking shouting match. It was a circus, and I'm sitting there laughing, and it's like, oh my fucking word, like this isn't this is not a debate. What the fuck? You guys are just shouting at one another. A debate is when you're supposed to allow the other person to speak about what's going on, or to give their ideas and viewpoints on things, and then allow the other person to speak. They were shouting over one another. They were just, it's like, oh my God, you guys. This is why we can't make decisions on who we want to best run this country, because you guys are too busy bickering at each other like fucking school kids. Who do we vote for? I don't know. I have not made my decision. I don't think I'm going to vote. I think I'm going to sit this one out. I'm really just not sure on who I would want to pick. And I do have the option. I am a registered voter here in the state of Michigan, so I can vote. I'm a registered voter. I don't have any felonies or any convictions on my record, so I am allowed to vote. But the trouble is, who the fuck do I vote for? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Should I vote? Should I not vote? Or if I do vote, who do I vote for? Yeah, I think I'm just going to set this election out. It's really that simple for me. I don't know. I can make up my own mind. I don't need the opinions of other people. I can make up my own mind about pretty much anything if I just, think about things for a while. This is never going to change. I don't see any big major changes happening. I don't have faith in the system. I don't believe that politics is going to somehow rectify an answer that we've all been waiting for, and we're just patiently waiting for November 3rd to come around so we can get that answer. It's really fucking just, I don't know, it's all strange to me. It's very fucking weird. We're living in weird times right now. But anyway, that's the Daily Rant for today. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks for listening, and have a safe weekend, and have a good day. And, don't forget to take the clothes out of the washer, because you probably got laundry waiting in your washer, or your dryer, depending. So, better go get it. Peace out, guys. Toodaloo.